Hi, I'm Jackie Capstick, and welcome to my podcast, The Natural Healing Rail. Today, my guest is Kerry Keegan. Welcome, Kerry. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today.
Hi, Jackie. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm really excited for our sharing today.
Yes, me too. Reading through your profile, it was quite exciting for me. It was just, there's so many amazing experiences and knowledge and gifts that you have been given that you're sharing. So I'd love to get started with that. You've been known as an international astrologer. You're a trained shaman, yoga teacher, and a biofeedback practitioner, which all of those things are right up on things that I have a lot of respect for. So I'm going to let you share what all of those things are and a lot more. You're an author and all of the stuff. So let's get into it and you share your wealth.
Sure. I'll just tell you a little briefly about myself. I came in as a young kid, really awake. And I was already, since I was a very young kid, very awake and asking the biggest questions that I could. And was in a family that was like, kind of be quiet a little bit. And so I was kind of shut down for a long time. And I got very, very sick, shutting down. A lot of allergies, asthma, debilitating. My whole body kind of became allergic to life. And then I did all of these. And then I realized, okay, I'm outside of the medical model, a teenager. So I'm like, okay, I got to start every healing modality that I can. Drugs don't work for me. I mean, shots don't work for me. And I had, back injuries. And so I'm like, okay, so I took it very early on, a responsibility that I needed to heal myself. And what I found is that when I shared my intuitive gifts, I was happy and my body didn't work. And of course I played with that for 10 years. I'm like, okay, I got to share this to be healthy. And then, so I played with that a while, but I also was like outside of the spectrum. I was outside of the norm and I didn't like that. So I kept kind of bouncing back between sharing my intuitive gifts and not. And then I heard someone be an astrologer and I'm like, I could do that and I did that. I just started doing that because I just started downloading the information. And I from the get-go, from day one, I could just do astrological readings. And so that's what I did. And I raised 3 sons doing that. And but I realized I also wanted to keep such an amazing balance to bring all of this metaphysical information in here. So I had to add the yoga. And so I did yoga, astrology, and then I also ran a small business consulting to keep my mind very sharp, my left and right brain, to keep that synchronized so that I could perceive a lot and maintain that in this world where it's really hard for intuitives to navigate a lot of the the energies. So I've done readings for people. I use astrology as the doorway, but it's just the beginning of we're bringing down the information. So because I had that prowess early, I was asked to be part of this shamanic group, which I just was for 7 years, and I just kind of really helped in the facilitation of that. I mean, it didn't need any training, it was just already there. And
Wow.
and so I just started, then I got into a lot of challenges in my relationship life, and then I was divorced and got an accident, where I was crossed over in that accident, and that was quite an experience. And I had to fight to come back. And I'm like, okay, I will totally use my skills. I won't be shy about it. I will come back. I want to come back. I want to raise my 3 children. And I kind of had an amazing conversation over there about why I wanted to come back. And I had to, within few minutes, within less than a minute, write a new contract to come back. And I did. And I then plump, I was in a body with a broken neck. And I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't a wise decision, but it took me a long time to get out of pain. And I had to do it on the inner planes and listen. And I was a little rebellious. I wanted somebody else to do it. I wanted, like everybody else, to go to the doctor and have them fix me. And I knew that wasn't my body or my path. And I knew that I had, with the intuition I was getting, was just go to your yoga mat and the teachers will appear. And I didn't do that. I kept calling back surgeons all over the country, heal me, give me a, I need to heal. And it took me 10 years in 27 alternative modalities until I said, okay, I have to do this. And I got out of pain, and I went like this, yay. It took me 10 years. I got out of pain from that near-death experience. And then I got into, and 20 days later, I got into another accident, which put me in a wheelchair. And I had to do it all over again. This time.
So what did you say to yourself when that happened?
I was like, this, it's not going to take me 10 years. I know how to do this, and I'm going to do it quick, and I'm going to do it fast. And I was angry, and I said, why? And so what I did do is like, okay, I used alternative healers and I used yoga. This time I want to use my heart. I know it's the most powerful tool in my body, and nobody knows how to I want to do it fast and quick. If my heart is 100,000 times more powerful than my mind, and I did it mostly for my mind last time. This time I'm going to do it really quick, and I'm going to do it with my heart. And I screamed to the universe, I need a teacher that will teach me at the level of my heart, because I want to open. I knew my heart, it was, my resentment, and, from all of, my holding emotions that of betrayals and, things that I could feel that was holding me back from spontaneously healing or tapping into the self healing that I knew was possible. I came in with that wealth of knowledge. I knew our bodies could heal themselves, but here I was put to the test. And so when I screamed to the universe, I need a teacher of the heart, because I knew I could do it quickly then. And I was not expecting a whale to answer my call on the inner planes. And that's what happened. A whale came and boomed into my interior space and said, you're never alone, and I'm your teacher. I have the biggest heart on the planet, so I kind of qualify to answer your question.
Wow. Did you get a vision of a whale, or how did that, it was just a knowing?
It was, in retrospect, in my ancient DNA history, I must have had this. I had him as a friend, and he told me that. He said, "You've forgotten who I was. We were friends way ancient, long ago, and I'm here, and I'm not going to forsake you. You know me." And I did know him, because I didn't get it, but I started crying like I had never cried before. Like I had found my best friend after 7,000 years. Can you imagine finding a friend that you had thought you had lost and you had longed for thousands of years? And that's the tears just kept pouring. My shirt was completely soaked.
Wow.
I never, the tears just seemed like mammoth, like boom, it just like everything just poured out of me. And there's nothing you can deny when your body responds like that to an interior presence coming in that you love so much. And I was like, I've never felt this good, this loved, this, I just felt like not even any reunion in any movie could have, elicited that feeling of reunion with me and this friend that I had long ago. And he said, yeah, we'll begin working together. So he said, I'll help you, and think of me as, we're gonna that initial conversation was so incredible, that when he came to me, of course I stood up and looked around. I knew it was inside of my body, but it was so loud. It was like, I was in Seattle, and I looked up, and of course I looked around. I was There's no one there. And so I sat back down, and I'm like, okay, who are you? And we had a conversation, um, and um, and I knew I would never lose him again. I was like, they said, and so I had this, um, um, a friend that, whenever I thought of him, he was right there in my field, and the tears started flowing again. And I told a few friends, and they could perceive when he
What you
was
were
there.
talking about.
Like, all of a sudden would be out to dinner, and the tears would start flowing again, and they're like, oh, Herman's here, because he said his name was Herman. And they could feel him. Other people could feel his presence. It's enormous. And we began working together. Of course, I went out and looked for him. I tried to see him through my eyes for 3 months. I'd go everywhere up the Puget Sound. I'm like, he must be out there. And finally, I sat down after 3 months of going on my walks, like, Herman, where are you? That meeting was so amazing. Why can't I connect with you again? It was 3 months later, and then he appeared, and I am like, oh, I've got to go inside my heart again. I was looking outward to find him, and he was, and when I went in, and I, like, how you tune into your heart, and I'm like, he was right there. And I'm like, I'm so silly. Of course you're in my heart. I was trying to find you out there.
We all are. We all
And
are. We're all looking out there for someone to help us. And it's not out there. That's why we're all still stay sick, right? Because we're so sure our victim story, and for me, and this is actually happening. And the more we complain and cry about it, the worse it gets. And universe keeps bringing it more.
I wanted someone to teach me. I wanted a surgeon to fix my back. I wanted to start walking again, and he's always about play and laughter, and he's like, I have so many lessons from him that I'm working on sharing in my groups, how he taught me. What a master teacher. I have never had any teacher teach so brilliantly, so fun, so multidimensional, and inspirational and motivational at the same time, and just like a paragraph of his interaction, you get his teachings on so many levels of how power of the heart, right?
Well, our heart, like, they just found out not long ago that our heart has a brain, and all of the, sensors, and all of, all this information that they just didn't know for our whole lives. And now all of a sudden we have two brains. We have the brain, and then we have a brain in the heart. Like, it's pretty incredible. Like, they're doing, you've heard of heart math. Yes. I mean, so
Yes.
when I was doing Joe Dispenza classes, I was introduced to the heart math there, and the teachings and the understandings of what science is coming across. And that is where all of the power is. That is where the healing is, isn't it? It's
right.
It's in the heart. Oh, yeah. And our hearts are closed right down.
And that's a lot of the teaching. You need to, he showed me this dial, this control panel. He's like, go into your heart and find your control panel. And there was 100 knobs. He's like, you don't know how to turn any of them on, do you? And I'm like, no, he's like, well, we're going to learn, he's like, and each one of them has a calibration, many zones, and, many markings and settings. So, and we're going to find them one by one, and then we're going to add them at time. So it's a very complicated process to understand your heart, but it's fun, right? But you need to understand that we haven't turned on any of your knobs. And I'm like, okay.
I know.
Okay, got it.
I know.
So
we haven't turned on any of our anythings. We're just got this little tiny 5 or 7% when we're awake enough to even think that that's a possibility.
Exactly.
What an incredible journey you're on. Wow, wow, wow. And so you're going to share the enthusiasm, the way that he shared it to you. And that's what really grasped you. And that's what's probably going to grasp us.
Right. So, I mean, I know it's an unbelievable story. I have 3 kids. So they think
Oh, gosh.
I have 3 sons. And so, yeah, this story is not for the faint of heart, or, if you're, firmly rooted in the 3D world. But I said, I really wanted to share this story because he's accessible. If he's accessible to me, he should be accessible to you and everyone. And I wanted to share him. He can be a friend just like he was for me with anybody. And so I wrote this story, which it seems like a children's book, but it is actually the story of meeting him. This is what he did that first meeting. When I met him, I was feeling alone, and just like she was. And, I waved, although, I didn't see him. And then he said, and he did do exactly what this story is. He said, hop on, I'm going to take you for a ride. I did it all inside, on the inner plane,
Yeah.
And he said, hop
you weren't on his back. You weren't on his back flying around the ocean.
He said, hop on, going, and he goes, first go into your heart. And I'm like, I remember going, I don't know how to do that. He goes, yes, you do. And he he was so clear. He said, just do it. And boom, like when someone with a voice so large says, just get in your heart now. Boom. And I was inside, my awareness was inside the inner chambers of my heart. And he goes, you know how to do that? Now we're, feel it. And so I all of a sudden, of course, if my awareness was inside my heart, I could feel the ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And it was so deafening, but it moved me. It was like squashing these emotions out of me, and more tears coming and more tears. And so he visually put me in his heart. And he said, you can fit in my heart. And I was like, actually, I think I said my heart, but I mean, he said, go into my heart and feel my heart. And, I've been on journeys, I've been on shamanic journeys, but I mean, I never really went into the heart of a whale. And I had to look it up when I came out. Could I actually fit into his? Is that true? Like he said, I have a heart big enough for you to fit in. And actually, then I went to Wikipedia and realized that the heart of a whale is as big as a VW, a little bug, right? A VW car. And I'm like, yeah, I can fit into a VW car. I certainly could have fit into your heart. And then he just took me on journeys. He's like, get into your heart. And you don't have to stay in my heart. You can go anywhere, but we're going to journey all over the planet, and we're going to bring you joy. Because I was not happy at that time. I was mad at the universe. I didn't want to spend another 10 years healing. And so I wasn't finding joy. So really he's like, we're not going to go to lesson 2 until you're 85% in joy in your day.
Well, and I think that's for all of us, isn't it? Because the universe can't bring us anything but what we're broadcasting. And so when we're stuck in poor me and victim and hurt and pain, the universe doesn't know good, bad, right, wrong. It just gives us more of what we're broadcasting, as I've learned many times over and over.
I couldn't loop it all. Right. You can't. He's like, stop. No, that you already had that thought. You already looped that thought 100,000 times. Got other things to do.
It's not working for you. Right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Okay. Felt that said, let's do something else. So
can I ask you a question? Is there many stories like this? Have you come across, now that this has happened, then you tend to kind of hear more of other people having a similar experience? I've never heard of anybody having this type of experience before. What is there kind of a field of people that are sharing?
a couple things I did. Of course, I did a research. Am I the only one this has happened to? And so, no,
Right.
I've met some other people, but I also historically did research, and in every culture, in every from Inuits to Japanese, India, there's always a person that can connect to the cetaceans historically throughout time. And there was a National Geographic article about that hundreds of people started sharing that with me. Hey, you're not crazy. Through time, there's always been like a shaman. They were considered shamans that could connect with the intelligence of the cetacean community. And I was like, oh, phew, I'm really not that crazy. And also it validated what he said. You were a shaman in a an incarnation where you were the connector with the cetaceans, and I was shown how I connected with the cetaceans in that time, and it was really beautiful. You know how they circle up fish, the humpback whales,
Yeah.
and when they're going to fit, they circle them up. When we were in harmony with the whales at a different period in ancient history, they would circle them up for us as people, and they would say, okay, now get in your boats, I've circled them up, and we would go and fish very efficiently with the whales as our guide, as our
Wow.
fish. So that's the image that they showed me, that you've done this before. That's why that's that this friendship, we're just rekindling this. So but
But you knew that. You felt that. You had a natural, intuitive knowing of how to do all of the shamanic work you were saying earlier, right?
yeah,
So
right.
that's kind of probably very good confirmation to
Yeah.
'cause I love the confirmation because of the crazy word, right? Oh yeah, she's crazy. She's saying she saw this, or yeah. Anyways, it kind of just makes you feel good to know that it's there's stuff behind what you're saying.
Totally validating. No, we need that in
Yes.
this world. Mhm.
Well, it's kind of the beginning of, really speaking out and speaking truth about what is happening that is not been spoken or believed or acceptable. And in society, you're just not in that box if you're talking anything about incarnation or seeing, having these experiences. It's just, yeah, you're people look and run the other way.
That is the
So
hardest.
that's a big shoe. Those are big shoes to fill.
It's definitely the biggest challenge, is just telling the story and having it be believed. I mean, let alone once if they do believe it, like I can connect you to have this source too. But the first obstacle is that it's true. You know, there is this beautiful woman, Nan Hauser, who was saved by a whale. You may have seen that on YouTube, or there's a BBC documentary about how she's from Maine as well. And I met her this summer, and she was literally a diver, and they kind of moved her back to the boat with the fin, and saved her from a tiger shark that was in pursuit of her. And I met her this summer, and she's been a whale researcher for 30 years. And when I told her, she's like, you wrote my story, and it was so funny. She's like, this is my story, the way that I put
Wow.
it together. She's like, but she knows the compassion, having studied whales for 30 years. She said, what I know about that is that they come to the most wounded, right? They will come. You were very wounded. I was. I'm on the 12th year of my healing, and I was at my wit's end. And, she's like, they come to those that are wounded like that, or need
But you
help.
also were asking. You have to ask. And you
Right.
were
I,
mentioning you were asking.
I
And
was,
when you ask, you do receive. But we have to
and
remember
I
to
think that
ask, right?
gone so far, in my metaphysical world, is that I ask. I learned that very young. Ask.
Lucky.
You want to know? And I think I was sitting in the Catholic Church when I was young, and they said, ask and you'll receive. And I just started doing that when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, because of my answers were not getting my questions were not getting answered in my family, and I had big questions, and so I just kept asking. And then I would get these images. I was very visual as a kid, and I'm like, okay, that's the answer. I don't know how to figure that out, but I just knew that the moment that I asked, the answer appeared, right? That was the thing. And so I just go, okay, what did I just perceive it when I asked that question? And it could have been a bird, flying by, or the chirp. And I'm like, okay, that was the answer. But, I would figure out, I understood that it talked in my language. Okay, so to me, that's blue, and blue, I had this free association, and I'm like, okay, my answer is blue, and I'd follow that, and I'd wear blue and feel comfortable or whatever. I freely associated the answer at the moment that I asked the question, since I was a little person. So I was very far along by the time I was 30 in understanding that, they work with my imagery, the way that I work, the way that I process information, and it's just me, right? I'm not going to get the answer externally, because they work with the way that I use language, the way that I use symbolism, the way that I use emotion and color and things. And so it's just a very personal response.
But without a doubt that is the response.
Yeah, right, Jackie. Yeah,
How great is that? How great is that you've had that gift for that length of time? I've learned and worked and honed that in, but I was asking the wrong questions. I was asking, why did this happen again? Or do I have bad karma? Or, it's like the wrong questions are not good questions. Asking the right questions, asking for help, asking for guidance, asking to see a larger perspective was what I have learned. And boy, it makes a big difference in what comes. And it comes in a song, or it comes, somebody says something and it's profound. That is what the answer that's coming to you, right? What a gift you had for your whole life. Lucky.
Well, that was often the answer that I got many times, is I developed this inner ear. I really developed it, because that, having so many planets in Aquarius, that I'm like, and I learned astrology very early. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm connected to the other realms. So I tuned my inner ear as well. And that's a long story, but so I was tuning in, but I always got ask a better question. So I'm like, I like, just like you, when you said they'd say, reframe that question, reframe it. So I'm like, okay, it's really in the precision, the dialectic precision of the question. Ask it in another way. Ask it in a way that you will really get the response you want, not some unopened. The more specific, direct, and intent you are, the universe is going to match that. If you're really direct, I want that. And I scream to the universe, I need a teacher of the heart. I used all of my will on that question,
Yeah.
right? So the universe responds with the power of that intent. So that was really clear to me. So when he said to me, and I said, I want to thank you, and how can I thank you? And he said, well, share the concept of hearting with the world. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? And he said, what you can do it a million ways. I'll support you from my heart. I will help you bring this message out. So basically what hearting is, I said, he goes, let's do this. So like we're co-workers now, right? We're friends. We're working together to help.
Partners, teammates.
Right. Now my
Partners,
best
teammates,
friend,
besties. Yeah.
he wants to change the planet. I want to change the planet. We want to do it together. So we're working as a team together to bring this concept. He's like, I think this concept will change the world quicker than anything else. And it's the concept of hearting. And I'm like, the concept, and he goes, yeah, like, as you know, nobody knows how to use their heart. There's a block there. To even get people to understand the heart. So he said, why don't we get people to use the word heart, hearting, as a verb. So replace the word thinking and feeling. Every time you use the word thinking and every time you use the word feeling, replace it with hearting. If we can get that message out, because anyone, no matter what, as long as they're speaking, or old enough to speak, they can do this. So we get everyone to replace thinking and feeling, which separates our heart and our mind. But if we get everyone to use hearting, that it automatically involves the heart, and it changes everything.
So the separation isn't a good thing. The fact that when we ask it that way, it separates things, and then you get confused as to what you're listening to, or
you're not engaging this heart, because he made me kind of extrapolate. Okay, let's visualize everyone using one word, the synthesis of their power. You want people to use the power of their heart, and they don't know they even need it. But what happens when you say, Jackie, I was hearting about you right before you called? That turns on your heart and my heart, and that's potential, right? To change the world. Oh, right. That's pure potential. And you feel it. You begin to, like, most people that, as you were saying, don't know how to feel their heart on a daily basis. We first have to introduce that.
Yeah. Well, 100%, you're right. We all have our hearts are so closed down because we've been through whatever hurts and whatever abandonment or not worthy, and so we just are protected, and we don't even realize that the heart being shut down like that makes us feel tense and closed, and it makes us feel unwell, and it's us protecting ourselves. It's fear. And it's not real. It's stuff we're making up. Well, this might happen and that might happen. So I'm going to protect myself just in case that happens. And we just make a big mess of ourselves. And this, what you're talking about, it's profound, because I know for myself, the quickest way for me to help myself is to breathe into my heart. Mm-hmm. I close my eyes and I'll take 5 breaths in, 5. By about 5 of those, I've shifted my whole state. Mm-hmm. But you have to do it. Mm-hmm. There's a problem, right? You actually have to sit down and do it, or just actually do it, because if we're not, then nothing's happening. Kind of like the meditation, I believe.
Right, and you're connected. You're connected to source, and this is unity consciousness, and just that is it. If you get into your heart, the whale's right there. But you do those 5 breaths, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have help. I'm not alone. In this moment, I am not alone. I have the power of friends in the non-physical world. I'm right, wow. My questions get answered. I can feel connected. Life is good.
Yeah, that's where all our power is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you are here to teach and share how everybody can find that simply and naturally with this gift that you've been given. And mm-hmm. It's so great that you're standing out and speaking about it, because it is difficult with the judgment and the people who haven't had any experiences. They love to make fun of just devalue what it is that is being said. And it's such an incredible, beautiful, powerful, healing that, to stand up and say, this is what happened and this is how I healed. I think it takes lots of courage, I believe, to do that, because you're opened your heart again. And now all of these people they have whatever judgment and whatever's coming down the pike, and that energy you probably can feel because it's so intense these days. I love that saying. It's none of my business what they think of me.
Well, you know what? It really, I just take about how my feeling, as crazy as the story is, that I got a teacher to get me learn to walk again. Nothing on my right side was working after my second. It's a scooter accident, and my bones broke in 10 places in my legs. I couldn't lift my arms, and my nervous system was definitely in a state that was not functioning well. I pick talking to a whale versus that amount of pain and not walking. I mean, you got to think differently. I have a beautiful life, have no pain. And if that is talking to a whale and learning and teaching and doing every practice that he said, I am going to take it. And I invite you to think outside the box too, because life is so profound and good now. You take the choice, you choose.
I love that. Yeah. Good for you. I just love that. The whole story, and the fact that you're sharing it, and you are just sharing it anyways. And it doesn't matter what they say. And good for you. What a powerhouse you are. It's a beautiful story. And I do know I'm not an ocean girl myself. I'm a little scared of all those big animals. Not sure why. I think I must have died on the Titanic or something. But what I understand about the whales and the dolphins, and they're so there's so much. Well, I can't even say it all, right? The wisdom and the love and the healing and everything that brings to us is supposed to be just above and beyond. But someone like me would not know about that because I'm scared. And so I haven't even tapped into maybe what that looks like. Whereas I had a best girlfriend, and all she wanted was to be with the dolphins, the healing, and she just was tuned in with this. And that was her lifelong dream. And all she talked about, and the dolphins and dolphins and the dolphins. So like you, she probably had some kind of a connection somewhere.
But they connect you with source. They connect you with home. They connect you with a unity field. Now I do meditations and I teach people. They can do it monthly and meet with me on a Zoom call where we go in and we all gather, and I bring the energy of the whales in so that they can feel this energy, even if they're new and this is all new concept to them. I bring them in, and everybody else at their different places of holding this space that they're pointing to in the heart. And I try to walk everybody into this space. You can feel this too. You can come on a call with me, and I'll walk you just how they walked me into this space, and you can begin to open your heart. Yeah. They're taking you to a unity consciousness field where you have access to your highest parts of yourself. These beings are incredibly intelligent. One of the first things that they said to me is, whales don't need saving by humans. Humans need saving. They're the species in peril. We are not. We have not lost our connection to our heart, and most humans have. And we love this planet. We love humans. We are trying to connect with them every chance we get to restore their hearts so we can be friends again.
Well, and live.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
Destroying everything.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to say, what you just eloquently just said. the intelligence and all of that is what I've heard. And it's supposed to be very powerful. And yeah, the connection to source, it's that pure, it's like the baby. They're connected. They're not they're not closed up like we become.
It's available to you. You could get out on my calls. You could tap in. You could learn how to tap into the consciousness of the dolphins, to the whales, to have your own. A lot of my personal coaching, people want this connection. They want to, like me, breathe into their heart and have the intelligence of an enormous multidimensional being that they can converse to. And then we work until we can begin to develop that relationship and open these doors in their heart. And I walk them slowly because it's tender, and slowly through it till they're like, I got it. It's so rewarding.
I'd love to try that. I really would love to try that. That sounds beautiful. It's I know how powerful that heart breathing, that focus on the breath is. Just anything that you're doing that has that focus and breathing into that, and then you're bringing something of that intelligence and beauty into it, must be over the top powerful. I love it.
I would love to have everyone's questions answered by a whale like I did, and how satisfying it is. Your deepest questions, to bring that relationship to you. So you are working one-on-one with the cetacean. So whenever you have questions about who you are, whatever they are, how to open your heart, how to self-heal. These were my questions, but I'm sure your questions are just as powerful and integral to your walk in the world. I would just love you to walk, have you be turned on in your highest vibration, so that we can all be creators and co-creators with this world.
As we're supposed to be, and we don't know how. Nobody's taught us. So these leaders like yourself who have had their experience and they're sharing, and there's all of these different avenues to get there. And this one's very special. Like, how spectacular is that? It's over the top, great big grand story, which I love. I always end up with those myself. I always have one of those stories where, I don't bother to tell people because they'll think, what movie did that come out of? It's just ridiculous, right? So I love.
I have to stay on it. We got to go out on these limbs, for the people that it's so far out for these stories. I'm doing it for my grandkids. I want them to live in this kind of world,
Yeah, instead of the one we're living in that's full of fear and blockages and anger and scarcity. And it's just the contrast is so extreme right now. This is what we all need to be doing and focusing and trying all these techniques. What if you had a profound feeling and that did tap in, and you just had this great experience from trying it once, right? That's like, what do you have to lose with that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm on there. I'm hooking up. I'll go in and do some meditation with you. I love that. Love to do that. Yeah.
Their heart opening. They even if you nothing and you're just on the call, their presence opens your heart. It's really, and most people get off the call, they're like, I'm just in this amazing state, and I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay in it, and over time you get to hold it longer and longer, this state of divine connection. It's your birthright. Like, go for it.
That's the biggest thing. Once you have that connection, you've had that feeling, you don't want anything other than that. You want to create that and to have that in a longer state, and to exercise that muscle. That's what I'm working on, because it's better than any drug, any drink, any whatever you could ever do. That connection it's your best day, the day when everything's moving for you, right? Parking spot, the sunshine in the car, the music, everything's just click, click, click. It's that. And we can tap into that daily.
And what I'm finding is that, it's quicker when we all get on a call together and we're all trying it. Like, there's 8 of us on a call, and we're all, all of a sudden we're like, whoa, the power of all trying to get on the same frequency, the frequency of the whales. And then when we do hit it, and they have the universal note, their heart is beating at a universal, is how they described it to me, a universal frequency that most consciousness on the planet can easily tap into it. And that's why they're the best teachers of helping people open the heart, because they have they described it as the universal, just like the universal donor, is O positive or something like that. It's like most people can reach this a cetacean vibration on the inner planes to open their heart. Their heartbeat is so powerful, and it's such a bass note, and it's so, going through the quantum field, it's the easiest to connect to.
Cool. That sounds great. Really does.
Yeah.
So you're doing this on Zoom. You're doing like kind of a classes, live meditation. Like what is the best way for people that are watching and want to give it a try? What do you suggest for us?
Go to my website, kerrykeegan.com. There's a meditations tab, and on the and you can sign up to be part of a live one. It's a subscription because I kind of want to hold the container, as we learn together, but you can join at any time. There are a few sample ones at the bottom of that page if you want to just listen to some introductory meditations, but we're learning how to understand frequency. So when we do that, we all jump on at 3:00 on the first Wednesday of every month, and we hop on, and we say hello, we greet, say hello to each other, and then I lead a meditation. I bring in the whales, and I talk everyone hopefully to get into a heart space. And then the whales begin to collaborate with us and begin to elicit information that's very helpful for whoever's on the call. It's like they understand our frequency much more than we do. But so they begin to answer the questions in our hearts, what we're bringing, and what would be helpful to us in these times. And often you get tips that will be very helpful for you to navigate frequency information, like how to understand how to use your frequency, how to discern it in others, what's yours and what isn't. All of these skills, these higher sensory perceptions of the heart, that if the doors were open, you would understand more clearly to navigate.
That's big. That's big. I have been working on that as well, of course. And it's difficult because we've got so much energy coming at us, and then it's like, what's mine? Because we need to be accountable for ours, because if we're playing victim, then we give our power away. And so you want to get accountable for all the stuff that is yours, but then, I was getting lost in, what's mine, what's theirs, so you get this real clarity is what I'm hearing.
Right. Not only clarity, this is the next frontier. We need to understand how to choose your vibration. And you have the birthright to say, okay, that's a vibration I want to hang in, or that one's so full of fear. I need to understand how to extract myself, how to clean myself, how to be in the presence of people that are in a fear vibration without lowering yours. Okay, this is multidimensional information that as people on, a spiritual path, they need to go and understand how to understand what's yours. It's really basic. How to clean yourself when you were in a presence of some energies that you don't want to resonate with, right? Energy is not good or bad, but you should be a good chooser of what you want to experience. Okay, you can experience whatever you want in this world. There's no right or wrong, but as the more you walk on this path, you realize, I don't have forever. I want to choose the ones that really resonate my entire being the highest, And so that I can open and choose the experiences that I want and can create and be a creator. Because whenever we're creating, we're on sacred ground, and we came here to be creators, to create all of the time. And if we're marred in other people's fear energy, we can't be creators. We're just like survivors, right? We need to
Yes,
move in. Oh,
yes.
I come here to create. There's no one like you, Jackie, and what you're going to create would be something really different than I want to see what you create with your energy. Your energy signature is so different than mine, but my world is richer if you're creating at your highest, because I'm like, wow, I'm odd.
I get it. I get it. I totally get it. And I have really been having fun with the creating and the manifesting and really building that strength and that muscle up daily instead of just here and there, but on a daily basis. And it's it's so much fun. It's such a incredible way to live our lives when we are creating and we are intending and we are choosing the higher vibrations that feel good. And then all of a sudden now people want to hang out with you. They don't know why, they're just attracted to you because you're not down here with, you know, the victim stories, which we all have. And especially right now, it's so intense for most people. I know for myself, it's been quite a journey. And when I speak with people, it's very scary out there if they don't have any tools like this. They don't have anything to help them.
Hmm.
And right
Right.
now, it's multiple energies that are coming down on people, right?
And we have planetary teachers that have been waiting. I want to say millions or billions or
Yeah.
trillions of years. These whales have been waiting for this time for us to remember. Oh, they have our history, and they're going to tell us who we are. They're going to help us remember who we are. And that's really what they're doing with me. They're saying, okay, it's yeah, okay, if you can get over the fact that we're being taught by a whale, great, that's good. But if you can go further and kind of begin to work with the concepts, you're going to remember who you are. You're going to be able to turn your DNA back on and understand, yourself at a much higher frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. We turn our light on and then our cells are full of light and bright and bouncy and they're reproducing happy, healthier cells instead of old patterned sick ones. Right. And
Right.
it's all very simple, but complex. Isn't it? I know when you come to your epiphanies of things, I always find like, it's not that you don't know that. We all know that thing, but it's kind of just hits you in just in a deeper way of how to help ourselves and how to be a better version of ourselves. It's just such a
On that same note, a visual for that, that we got on recently, I think last week on the call, was imagine yourself, those shades that are, that come up and they get squeezed, and imagine that frequency right now has the ability at this space and time in our genetic history. Imagine that you could open up, and each one of these things is a new frequency that you get to explore. You've been compressed and thought, oh, I could only use this frequency here. I can't talk to whales. I can't see, purple in the sky all the time. But, they're like, no, open your heart. You have this, your ability. Let's open this slowly and see all of these frequencies that you can begin to explore when you stop, being part of the fear culture, because that's going to keep you closed. Like, drop it, open your shade, and trust. All of these things are higher. I think of them, that's how many higher sensory perceptions we have available to us in our DNA, and all that we've learned in our genetic history.
well, and when we do what you're saying, the old patterns and illnesses just kind of unravel because they're not able to be at the higher frequency that you're now holding, because you're holding that space in the heart space if you're creating from the heart and you're not creating from the lower centers, which sometimes come up with anger or jealousy or whatever, you're talking about creating from the heart space, which now we're talking a whole world. This is a whole different world.
It is a very,
I don't think that any of us know how to create from the heart space unless we're doing what we're doing and learning, or have had gifts like yourself, where you have been gifted to share this. It's
right. And a lot of people, have learned it first through healing. They need to heal their body. And what the whole 4 or 5 years of me healing that second accident was very simple. Get into this vibration. You have no pain there. And then I couldn't hold it. I'm back down into this 3D, and I'm like, ow, 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 ow. It hurts to walk. And then they'd go, okay, go back up, go up to this vibration where you and I are connected in this. And then and they're like, how do you feel now? And I'm like, oh my God, there's not pain there, but I couldn't hold it. Right. I couldn't hold it all the time. So I had to keep doing these exercises and these, like, how, quantify how much your heart is open. You need to be at least 85%. Do that, and then the rest of your, that other 15% is when you do the things you have to do in life, because you can condense all of the things you have to do that you might not need, might not require you or behoove you to be in this open-hearted space. But they're like, that can only be 15%, because when you're working and when you're spending most of your time in a heart open space, you don't have those issues.
right.
I don't have all of those issues. It's really co-creative.
But it's a muscle. We need to first have the knowledge and understand it, and then have a look, need to actually see ourselves, and then pick up when we're not feeling good, and then listen. This is what I've been doing anyways. It's a process, but I believe that we all have to do it. We have to take out those beliefs and these stories that have ran for generations that are killing us with, first of all, they're not even true. They're negative. They're fearful. And all of that stuff is what's creating us not to live well. And all of it, if we just came from love, came from the heart space, I believe that we would all be well. We would all be abundant, healthy, happy, but we just haven't been taught that.
Right. And
we are learning.
Yeah. And there's toxic, there's toxic emotions, there's toxic, thoughts. And we go, oh, you don't have a baby hanging out in those. You go, no, you put them way away, put all these toxic emotions in these looping. Let's identify what's toxic to the body. Those thoughts, those emotions. Okay. You need tools to get away from those toxic things that don't resonate with your body, that stunt your growth, that cause pain and diseases. Okay. The body is an amazing thing. It has the ability to put itself back into complete resonance and live well.
Yes. It's our thoughts that get in the way of it, because we believe that we're supposed to have this disease because my dad had it, my mom had it, so of course I'm going to have it. Well, you got to be right about that. I hear my friends say it all the time, and I used to be too much like, blah, you're gonna, like, I try to keep I'm learning to be quiet. Still not probably quiet enough, but it's, we're just killing ourselves with our thoughts. And it's like you say something and all of a sudden it happens. It's just so, right now, I think we really need to be mindful and really, like, what do we want? What do we want to create? And what a better place than what you're sharing.
Mm-hmm. We're power creators. We haven't been shown that or taught. Oh my gosh, our intent is really powerful. What we're thinking is gold. The gold to what we're going to experience. Like, really, it's very potent to
It is. It really is. It's like I was saying earlier, I think it's the best. It's worth doing the work to have that experience, and then to be able to strengthen that muscle is all you want to do. is to
Yeah.
create that space within yourself. And it's easy if we just sit down and do it. It just takes a minute to look after ourselves for a few minutes.
Right. It is just like you said, Becky. It is easy. It's not, and anyone could do it, and I always endeavor with sharing the hearting tips that I learned from Herman to share them in a way that a 6-year-old could understand. So they're very accessible. You know,
Yeah.
that anyone can go, oh, I can do that. And yeah, anyone can.
Yeah. Oh, what great information. So tell us about, we were talking earlier about the biofeedback, and you've created well, I'll just let you tell, can you tell us about that? What is biofeedback, first of all? And
So
what did you create?
So this is the field, the quantum field we're talking about. That's the field where you connect with a whale. That's very real. It's the fourth, the fifth state of matter is the plasma field. It's an application of Einstein is understanding that there is a field where we can connect with, and it's rich. And you can call it what you want. You can call it the plasma field. And so there's technology. This is why the teachings of the whales are so important. It's frequency. So everything is frequency. So frequency, when you understand what your frequency is, and you understand frequency and putting yourself in a specific state, to heal, we need help getting there. So we need help understanding our frequency. So there is an application that is a voice spectral analysis. There's many forms of biofeedback. The one that I use is voice spectral analysis. And so when people request a session with me, I record their voice, and then I put it through an algorithm, and those frequencies that are off or that are out of balance for a state of well-being, because you want to be in a state of balance, are I then play that. I run it through a lot of libraries that I've created, looking at any number of things what may be off in your body, because and I look from a spiritual perspective, a mental perspective, an emotional, and a physical. What are off? What is off in any of those parts of yourself? And so I begin to identify them, and then I'll play the frequency to put that back into balance. And people usually, and they can be on their way to work, and they text me their voice, and and then they buy a session, and I will run the biofeedback, in my office, and it will work because it's waves, and the sound waves will work over the quantum field to balance their field. Maybe they have spiritual slime on them from being near some low vibe people, which is very common right now. People like I feel like I have something in my field that isn't mine, like you were talking to before. Some people are like, or I want to, and some people aren't ready for that. Some people just want to know what vitamins would be helpful, which I can help them with that. What kind of detox methods would be helpful for? I have a panel with that. But what I find is the emotions are the most. I always run the emotions and put the emotions back in balance, because you have the most resiliency when you're emotionally coherent, right? So you have, and so to get I don't look at any labels of any disease. I look at going, okay, well, how can I put you back into a state of coherence with your optimal energy, your entire body is spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, working together in synchronicity, in coherence, so that the healing occurs. And when you put yourself back in balance, your life force increases, and your body is able to put yourself back in balance and have the life force that you you have available to yourself.
So I do know that this works, this biofeedback. I had it done for a while. I did some sessions and it really, really helped me with trauma and very bad concussion. I would love to try this. This sounds
Let's do it.
incredible. This sounds incredible. I know that this works and I know it's powerful, but this is like a whole, this is different. This is specialized, and this is quite interesting. I can't imagine how powerful that is.
Sometime we can share the screen, because I can share the screen and show you in real time what
Yeah.
I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and how that I can identify a lot of the emotional root causes to, say, that eye issue, or that, prostate, or, the other modalities. Let's look at the underlying emotion that's going
Yeah.
on. You can deal with it, with your physician on the physical level, but you know what? I can also add moving that emotion, giving you help and support to move that emotion, that feeling of lack, or whatever it is, hatred or resentment, the ones that really stick around. I can help you move that with sound, so that you begin to have, an easier time releasing that physical symptom.
Well, and when we don't move that, it's stuck in there and we're going to continue to get more because it's a frequency that we're broadcasting that we don't even know. And so we continue to get this shit stuff coming at us and we're thinking we're a victim, but it's because we've got something unconsciously stuck in our vibration from growing up, or maybe it's generational.
Right.
But
And so,
most of us don't even know that. Most of us don't even have any idea that that's even a thing, but it's a thing. And we need to, and you clear yourself, and you start clearing your family from clearing yourself. And it's just so vast what happens. It's such it's incredible how fast and how good you feel, and what a gift you give to your, not just yourself, but everybody around you. When we
right.
heal, everybody, yeah.
And we become knowledgeable that we can manage our state. We need to manage our state, our auric field as well. Not only do you need to clean your physical body every day, but you need to have a spiritual hygiene system, so that if you've been through a large crowd or a work environment that's toxic, you can clean yourself by the end of the day. Know how to do that. It's really important to your health.
Absolutely. I'm an empath. I figured out what that word meant. I am one of those empathic people. I can feel everything. We were in Costco yesterday shopping, and by the time I got out of there, I was just like, because I've taken on everybody and everything's energies, and it's just, you just feel so full and so agitated, and yeah, just shake and clear and ask, receive, sender. Like, just there's lots of little tools, and it sounds like you have some real great ones as well.
Right. And that's often the one-on-one work that I do with clients is building their toolbox
Yeah.
of auric feeling, spiritual cleansing tools, sleep state hygiene, how to prepare yourself before you go into that store, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that you're maintaining, and when it dips. Okay, got it. And then you have tools at the ready, no matter where you are in life, whether you're out in the world or home, or have loved ones that you want to connect with either too.
Yeah. And some days when we're all on our game and we do that, we go into those shop stores and it's just the best. And everybody, you're having friends and you're having just the greatest day in the shopping store. And the other day when, that isn't all right up to, what a difference. It's just so black and white. It's absolutely crazy what a difference it makes.
I love the way that you brought that up. I just had some similar experiences when I went into Home Depot to get something the other day, and I was just connecting on these levels, like you know what, it was a rainy day, I like your energy. I mean, this man could, I never met him before, and was very attracted to clean energy patterns, and whatever, you just would spend a lot of time with me, just helping me and being really gifted in the process. So it was a fun experience.
It is, isn't it? And it's so fun to have those experiences, but you have to be in that state to create that, and to be in a space to feel confident maybe enough to just put yourself out there, if and not think about it. Like my kids are always like, "Oh, mom, you have to talk to everybody." I'm like, "Yeah, that's like the whole fun of it. Like, why go out and not talk to anybody? That's no fun." Like, I love that.
I'm gonna live it to the fullest every day.
Yes, yes, it's an incredible, little journey. Just going to the corner store sometimes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's how we love being alive here on this planet, and we get to, it's our birthright to be in these states all the time.
Yeah, but I don't know that many of us are as we're getting older, because I know a lot of this work and I'm working on it diligently. But what about all of the many that haven't accepted that it's a thing, or are just sort of coming to the realization that, yeah, I kind of see that. I kind of get that could be, and are a little bit more open. But this is really important stuff to share because it's free. Like this is, I mean, it's our inner stuff. It's free. It's our God-given right, and we are here to be accessing it. And we need to have tools. And what's great about it is, doesn't matter who I interview. The tools are all different, and some of them resonate with people, some of them don't. And so it's just such I don't know, it's all just a gift. I mean, I think it should be called the gift box.
I think you're more powerful than Jackie. I'm sure many people, and you just don't have the return receipt of all the people you've helped by putting your vibration and your clarity out there. It's certainly contagious. So I think you're more powerful. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Well, yours definitely, as you're glowing, you got a big bright light all the way around you from the inside and out. And that's what we're talking about. Talking about showing and teaching how people to be empowered and tap in, and how to, yeah, it's great. What a gift.
Right.
What a gift. What else do you want to share before we wrap up for today?
I just want to let people know that if you want to hear the story in a really fun way, my story, I put Hearting with Herman together. You could do it heartingwithherman.com or kerrykeegan.com. You can get it on Amazon or just about anywhere. And I just want to say, I created the audio book with some children, and you can get that anywhere on Audible.
Yeah.
The audiobook. And there's a free song that I made to keep that vibe going in, once you read the story. I have a beautiful friend that wrote the song, companion song, and you can get it free on my website, heartingwithherman.com, and you can download the song that I wanted to gift people with so that they could sing it, and the children really love it.
Awesome.
They love it. So you can get a free song, you get the audio, the book, and I think you can share, you can begin to, everyone can be hearting.
Yes, hopefully. Hopefully that's what it just gets contagious, because when somebody turns their light on, the next person wants to know, how did they do that? What are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Just that. It's just turning on your light, and yeah, people want to be with you, and they don't know why. They're just attracted to you because you become magnetic, and it just feels good to be around people that are clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we can do it all. We can all do it together, and we can
all do it together. Yes. And love is free. It doesn't cost anything.
And it's infinite. It doesn't, we're not going to run out. Not going to run out.
It's infinite. Love that. It's free and it's infinite. There's a book there on that, I think.
Yeah, I got a couple more in the works after this, so, there's going to be a lot more.
That's beautiful. I'm going to get that for my girls. I think that they'll really, really enjoy that. And I am going to sign up and join you for some meditations and maybe one of those biofeedbacks, because it's, I know the power, how powerful it is for me anyways. It's a
Yeah.
gift. So
Yeah.
I like
For sure. I just, if I'm dipping, or I'm just right back on, just getting the help. I need to
yeah.
keep it higher.
Yeah. Well, we all need that support. And then we all need to be around people who are wanting to support you being a better person, instead of the opposite, where we have been, where everything's in competition and we'll step on them to get down a little bit.
We'll bring them on board.
Right. Okay, and so I'm going to find you just on your website. When I go to your page here, I'm going to be able to find all of your classes and hook up and sign up for whatever I want.
Yes,
nice.
And I
make sure that it's all posted with the video on our video on the site, and we'll send you along a video. Maybe you can share it with your friends.
I absolutely will. I look forward to it. They're already asking how to do it, where to go. So
awesome.
They're all waiting. So I will definitely.
That's great. Really, really enjoyed you. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll connect soon. Have a good rest of your day. And thank you for sharing your wealth of information.
Thanks, Jackie. That will do.
Bye. Bye-bye.